welcome back to Morning Live here on SABC2. You'd recall that the 21st International AIDS Conference is still taking place in Durban here in South Africa, coming to the African soil for the second time since 16 years ago. So yesterday we saw the conference being opened officially by the Deputy President of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, basically saying that the current economic challenges should not be a stumbling block to funding the HIV and AIDS initiatives that are available to fight the epidemic by 2030. So that's basically what happened during the first day of the conference. So we'll keep you updated as to what transpires during the entire week of the conference. All right, now Musa Njoko is one of the best known AIDS activists in South Africa and the world. In 1995, she publicly disclosed her status. At the time, there was no government treatment programs available for people living with HIV. Stigma and discrimination also hampered the fight against HIV and AIDS. As the world has converged in Durban for the 21st International AIDS Conference this week, in South Africa, of course, there are currently 3.4 million people on ARV treatment. Musa Njoko joins us now in our Durban studio this morning to talk to us about how far she has come. Well, Sis Musa, good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Very good morning to you and the viewers at home.
Well, thank you very much. We're very happy to have you on Morning Live this morning. Now, at the time when you first disclosed your status, treatment was not available. How has the journey been like since then?
Oh my goodness. What we have today really was something that was a dream many years ago. We could only imagine. There was absolutely nothing. And what has really kept me together is just my faith in God. We had to fight for our survival. Literally, we only imagined, we only dreamt of treatment. But thank God that 22 years later, into my journey living with HIV, treatment is now freely available and easily accessible than what it is even some few years ago when it was put in place.
All right, so you're basically saying that the country has actually made positive strides in providing treatment for those infected.
That is correct.
Now, South Africa still remember you as one of the first people to disclose your HIV status. Compared to then, have you found people, or the public rather, more accepting of people living with HIV and AIDS, or are we still where we were, a few years back, the stigma attached to people infected?
We have made a shift. What I say is that if you're not paying attention, you can easily say stigma is now gone. It's even like with racism. If you're not paying attention, you can easily say it's gone, it's no longer there. I would just say stigma has somehow or somewhat has changed how it looks and how it sounds. Nowadays, we are noticing that there's a lot of internalized stigma rather than the stigma that is imposed by other people towards people living with HIV. But also the reason why we are not seeing as many people disclosing their HIV status and talking about HIV is not as normal as we would like it to be as activists, but also as government. It tells us that there's still an issue of stigma. Yes, there has been a shift, but we are seeing more and more of internalized stigma amongst people infected with HIV or those affected by HIV, which is posing quite a huge problem because it prevents people from going out there and seeking help in good time for them to be supported in best ways that they could be cared for.
Yeah, because I actually wanted to come to that internal stigma that, surely it must be hampering with one receiving a treatment and self-acceptance as well.
Yes, it hinders the process to healing. It hinders the process to finding peace, and also for the individual to access whatever care and support that they need and that they may receive. It also has to do a lot of shame, the guilt to say what was I doing? How could I allow myself to go through this? And then also for people who are entering in new relationships, it is not very easy for people who have not fully accepted their HIV status to disclose. And then it will also hinder those partners from using protection or even discussing issues of protection in their relationships. So it is one of those key areas that we should be focusing on, as we know that we've got about over 6 million people in South Africa that are estimated to be living with HIV.
All right, Sis Musa, that's where we're going to leave it this morning, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. There you have it, Musa Njoko, one of the best known AIDS activists in South Africa, talking to us about how far the country has come in terms of fighting the epidemic. Well,